Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for this new moon that's taking place in Aries today. It happened earlier this morning at 3:30 in the UK, so the new moon energy is still in force until the full moon that is coming up on the 27th of April. So I'm going to start the reading with the three cards that I normally would show for the energy that is taking place at the moment. So if you watched my astrology reading yesterday, you'll see the same three cards. And this is the first card, the new moon energy itself, which is all about new energy. A new start is coming. Something new is entering our lives at this time. The second card, the Aries energy, is all about taking that initiation, that action, doing, being brave, taking the first step towards something. And we have the be bold and make the first move card, because it's also cardinal energy. The Aries sign itself is the first sign of the zodiac. It's cardinal energy, it's doing, it's very what's the word, driven, passionate. It's very energetic energy. It wants to do, it wants to be doing. Aries people are very much doers rather than thinkers. It's like they tend to do first and think afterwards. Not all Aries, but it tends to be that kind of head driven energy. So the first card for the reading I pulled today from the Celestial Meditation deck is this beautiful card of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, and it says, crowned in the jewels of impartial awareness, the enlightened one emanates from the hearts of all beings, manifesting as the unbounded life force of the entire universe. Set free consciousness from the entrapment of individuality. When we recognize the Buddha as simply our own true nature, the seeds of immortality spontaneously ripen. The Buddha ultimately inspires the awakened consciousness of our innermost being. Meditate upon the divine Buddha within and free yourself from the physical and emotional entrapments of the material world. It is your own heart which becomes the Buddha, and ultimately which is the God. And the words at the bottom here is the Buddha within. So it's saying that each and every one of us has this Buddha nature. It is our true nature, the stillness, the Buddha nature, the connection with everything. There is no disconnection. And the reading itself today is starting off with, or the actual tarot cards here, is the Five of Earth, which for me today is coming through as an energy of isolation, an energy of feeling like covered over, like forgotten, like it's kind of feeling like there's like hibernation in a way, like we've all been through this mass hibernation, this mass isolation, even if we have still been kind of out trying to keep things as normal as possible, even if some have still been doing their normal jobs and getting on with their normal life as possible. There's still this kind of feeling of it just feels like isolation. It just feels like, if you look, it's kind of covered over with all this moss and all this greenery. Like a shadow part of itself, or it's like something growing up around ourselves that needs to be shaken free, that needs to be kind of released, let go of. Like we're being buried underneath something. Maybe it's our true nature. It's what needs to come out, and it's kind of, this is what's been covered over for a long time, and maybe not even just this past year either. Maybe it's kind of saying that on some level we've allowed this to kind of happen to us, like we've become hidden, is what's coming through. Hidden. We've hidden our true self, our true nature has become hidden. We've all become, I don't want to use the word lesser beings than what we are, but there's a sense of that, a sense of that we've all kind of allowed this cover up, or it has been kind of growing around us, is probably a better way to express it. Like it's been growing, like it's kind of something that's consumed us in a way, is how it's coming through. Like we've, and there's a kind of very like almost like a statue energy here as well. It feels as though it's becoming part of the, if you see at the bottom, it's like it's becoming part of the forest. Or becoming part of the environment, part of the surroundings. But the bigger message I'm getting here is that it's kind of grown up around us. It's like we haven't realised it's happening. And so we haven't been able to shake it off. And it's kind of, because if you see in this card, it's kind of putting her to sleep. It's like she's going through this slumbering, which is interesting, because if I think about the astrology that I did for this particular new moon as well, I talk about the energy of Neptune and Black Moon Lilith, and how Black Moon Lilith for me kind of represents that that sense of fighting free from something, of needing to express herself here. That's what's coming through. There also could be a protective element here as well, that we've kind of tried to protect ourselves from the outer elements. And when I mean elements, I'm talking about the kind of hierarchical systems, and it just feels like this energy of becoming part of the furniture, becoming a statue, just becoming part of the scenery. Loss of identity is also what's coming through here. But interestingly, there's this very bright light in the background here as well. There's like this light behind, which is kind of coming through to shine. It feels like it's going to shine a light on this situation. It hasn't quite got there yet, and she's still kind of in the shadow. And it also speaks to me about spring coming as well, about shaking off this energy of spring arriving and us coming out of, collectively kind of coming out of this. It just feels like this deep slumber. So yeah, so in the astrology, the often Black Moon Lilith is seen as being like an energy of, what's her name, the White Witch in Lion, the Witch in the Wardrobe, who kind of put the world into this kind of winter energy, and also the Maleficent energy as well of Sleeping Beauty, where she puts them all to sleep. And at this time we've got Neptune and Black Moon Lilith are sextiling each other, and it's the first time that they've come together since 2019, when all this mayhem and madness and craziness kind of kicked off. So this is kind of representing that energy for me in a way, of coming out of this energy, kind of the maleficent energy of being cursed and falling asleep for 100 years, and also kind of putting everything into a deep sleep in Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe in Narnia as well, with the world going into an eternal winter. So the card that we have over the top of this one is the Nine of Earth, the Nine of Pentacles as it's also known, which is very much a card of our self-confidence, our self-esteem, but it also, again, it feels like this, like what she's carrying in her hands here. It's like finding this source energy here in her hands. How can I put it? It's like as we come out of this deep slumber, this deep sleep, we're becoming aware that this is, it's like this is very precious. This is what's important. This is what we're kind of discovering about ourselves. And it's coming through, I suppose I would relate it to the Buddha nature, in fact. Something very precious, something very connected to everything. It's kind of got its own, and it's to do with spring again, like the flowers blooming, us blooming. That's what it's about. It's about us kind of coming back into our creativity, into ourselves, into our sovereign energy, which is very much an Aries energy as well. And she's kind of, if you see, she's kind of sticking out. All of this here is very much kind of related to this energy here. It's like very foggy, very hazy, but she's kind of very much in the forefront here. You know, shaking off all this energy, and what's underneath is this kind of magical, in a way, female kind of representative or representation, should I say, of the Mother Earth energy, that creative energy that is within us all. And it's kind of connected to everything as well. That's also what I'm seeing as well, is this connection to everything. It's kind of this realization of this connection to the past, but it's also an energy that needs to be let go of. This all needs to be let go of. We need to move beyond this, out of this energy, out of this fogginess and this haziness and this kind of stuck, stagnant place that we've been in. Because what's in our head, I'm kind of seeing this as a, what's in our head is the Seven of Water. So it's opening up this energy here. Let me show you this card. The Seven of Water, it's like her, I see this as her also, again, kind of in the center here. This kind of representation of us sitting, and this flower is kind of opened up. That's what I'm seeing here, is like this flower is opening, it's coming to life. Which is what we are starting to do. We're starting to come back to life. And moving out of this energy here. coming back into life, and we've got all of this around us, which is all potential possibilities for us. It's like new ideas, new creative things that we could do, something maybe that we've never even done before. There's all this potential. And that's again what this like little flower here, this little yellow flower is kind of saying. There's all this potential. It can grow into all of this potential and achievement. We have that ability, but this is the crossing card, so this is our challenge. Our challenge is to find that that connection to everything that brings in all of this energy for us. This kind of realization. In many ways, kind of like, you know, the world is your oyster here, which can be overwhelming because there can be too much choice. We could be given too much, too many things to choose from. Can actually stop us also from making any decision at all, because we don't know what is the best thing to choose. So let's see what the next card is here. Another 7, the 7 of Earth, which I always see as my distraction card, which is quite interesting because it's kind of following on from this as well. This is the energy that's moving away. 7 of Earth. This is where we're coming out of, the energy we're coming out of. And today, I can't speak. Today what came through for me really strongly was this here, which I've not really ever seen before, but it looks like a hand on the shoulder, like something's kind of holding his shoulder, as if it's holding him back from making the wrong decision or the wrong choices, or following something that's not. It's like he's distracted. It's like something's caught his eye and he's totally focused on that, and he's completely kind of oblivious. It's like he was walking down this path. It's how I always see this. He's kind of walking along. He's got his mind set on where he's going and what he's doing, and then all of a sudden this tiny little creature kind of comes out of nowhere and kind of shows itself like some kind of distraction. But this over his shoulder today is really interesting, because I think it's just a leaf, but it really does look to me as though there is something that's kind of holding him back, saying, wait a minute, don't go there, don't follow that path, don't follow that distraction, don't look over there. Look over there instead. Like there's something, what we think is happening isn't actually what is happening, is how it's coming through. It's like mass distraction, mass kind of like, you know, all look over here at the same time, and then like, you know, what's happening over there will be completely ignored. But I do feel as though with these feathers as well on his head, it's almost like almost like recognizing something here, like knowing that there's something here that is very similar to this energy here. But he also, today he's kind of coming through as though he's kind of, he's not convinced somehow. There's something that he's not convinced about. It's almost like, yeah, well, you know, been there, done that, and I don't really want to go down that road anymore. That's kind of, yeah, okay, so that's what's coming through. It's like, don't follow this, because that's the path that we've already been down. So we're having to move away from that energy, away from that path, away from that kind of distraction that just kind of leads us down this empty road. Kind of a road that just will lead us back to this. And it's all about, I feel as though it's all about kind of going within and finding our own path, our own destiny, our own choices. Not anybody else's. It's not anybody else's path that we have to walk, or choice that we have to make. So that's what's coming through for me today. That's what it is. It's about not following this little being that's kind of trying to drag us back down this same path, that's trying to keep us in that kind of energy, that status quo, that stagnation, that kind of, and collectively it feels as though we're kind of getting to that point where we're going, fed up with doing that, fed up with being told what I can and can't do, what I should and shouldn't do, how I should and shouldn't behave. And it does feel as though there's a kind of maturity here as well. Like a sense of knowing, that you're not going to do that anymore, because underneath in our subconscious realm we have the Hangman, which is very much about that energy of, I had the word and now it's gone out my head, limbo. Just hanging in limbo of just like waiting, something to change, and at the same time kind of seeing things from a different perspective, because you're hanging upside down, not literally of course, but in the card he's hanging upside down, so he's seeing things differently. He's getting a different view of the world, he's getting a different view of the situation. He's beginning to see things more clearly. But there could also be a sense of feeling as though he's been hung out to dry, and I'm getting the impression that it is literally this kind of same energy here as well. Because this is our deeper subconscious energy, this is what we're not so aware of, and it is a very Neptunian energy, the Hangman, releasing things, letting things go, sacrifices that have had to be made, which have been massive over this past year, people's businesses and livelihoods and families and life. Just life really, but it's like collectively we've been put into this situation of just hanging, waiting for something to change, waiting for something different, waiting for kind of illumination or enlightenment on the situation. But it also feels as though we've kind of been waiting on other people to give us that illumination or that enlightenment. It's kind of like a sense of no longer, this is what I'm feeling with this, no longer trusting what we've been told so far, or believing everything that we have been told. There is an awakening within this card as well, because it is about enlightenment. So there is an awakening, there is a kind of transformation as well, is also what's coming through here. A kind of sense of transforming. Again, it's to do with maturity. There's something about maturity. Kind of the longer we hang there. Okay, and kind of a rebirth energy that's coming through here as well. The longer we hang here, the more we're seeing the truth behind the situation. The longer we are because it's almost like having time out that we normally wouldn't have. Normally our lives would be packed full with all this other stuff that we have to do day in, day out, like mechanical in a way, like automated, like robots of like, you know, this is what I do every day, this is my habit, this is my pattern, this is what I do, this is how I do it. And this has kind of broken through that energy in a way, which is where I feel that there's this kind of maturity taking place here. A levelling up of energy, which is interesting because we also have the Hermit card here as well. But I will talk about that in a minute. But there is a lot of major arcana cards in the reading so far. And what we have after, the energy that we have coming in, which we are going to have to deal with, we have the Five of Air and the Empress, both in reverse. And again, I'm getting the feeling with this kind of Hangman, it's very similar energy still. If you see here, they're both kind of hanging upside down because it's in reverse. So it's like we haven't come out of this energy. But the Five of Air is also about conflict within ourselves, conflict outwardly. And they're very, very similar if you look, because they're both kind of, like here he's kind of holding or being held up by this very thin golden thread, which is kind of connecting him to everything else above. And in this one, she's kind of hanging from this very, very thin thread as well. So maybe that's also a collective energy as well at this time, this kind of feeling of hanging on by a thread. Kind of trying to keep our poise, trying to keep our balance, trying to keep everything together. There's also something about these birds as well. A sense of freedom, because these birds can just fly away. But she's kind of, I always feel as though she's kind of stuck in this situation. The Five of Air. And also that she has kind of created this situation as well. Or helped to create the situation. There's a sense of kind of us putting ourselves out there on the line is the energy that I'm getting here. And what are we going to do next is also what's coming through as well. What is our next move? And because with the Empress here upside down as well, Empress normally represents abundance, plenty, Mother Earth energy, very creative, very giving, very nurturing, but she's also upside down here and very often can be seen as being Venus energy as well. And at this time, Venus is kind of hidden from our view. Venus has gone behind the sun and isn't coming out again until the beginning of May. So we may be feeling on some level a sense of abandonment as well. Often the Five of Swords is depicted as conflict. But I feel as though it's more inner conflict than it is outer conflict, although it could also be outer conflict as well. But it feels like a situation that's very kind of on edge is probably the best way to put it. Like it's, yeah, okay, it's like it's very, like the next step has to be very carefully taken. Like there's something that we have to be very precise about, or very exact. Because literally she's kind of walking on this tightrope. But it feels for some reason that these birds are kind of not helping the situation. It's like the outer environment, if you like, is not helping the situation. Not helping to keep that kind of poised is what's coming through here. This need to be balanced. So what is the next move? So I'm going to pull some more cards in a bit and see what else comes out on this. But like I said, we do have the Hermit card here as well. If you see, you can see him kind of coming through this energy, which is what feels to me similar to like how can I put it? Like that leveling up energy of this Hermit. Again, it's this kind of sense of something being that hasn't been revealed. And there's all these keys over the top of the door as well, so it's like the key to something, the key to unlocking something which hasn't been revealed yet is how it feels. Opening up to the door to the future. But at this present time, we don't know what the future is. It's a very unknown quantity, which I feel this energy is also adding to as well. There's this kind of sense of, maybe this is also about taking a risk. We don't know what the future is at this time. We don't know where we're going to end up. And I always think of this card as well as being like keeping quiet, keeping secrets, because there's something about her lips kind of look as though they're sealed. There's a tattoo under her lip. Probably won't be able to see it on here, but there is this tattoo, and it kind of comes down from her nose across her lips. And I always think when it's upside down, it's like she's keeping things to herself, like she's not expressing, she's not giving, she's very much silent, which is why I feel it's like this Venus energy, this kind of like not there at the moment. It's kind of disappeared. That energy is not there for us to kind of relate to or to connect with. So it's out, like being out on a limb, literally, and not knowing where we're going next, and what's behind this door. What will we find if we open up this door? Because this Hermit and the Empress are both kind of, it's like the Hermit's beckoning us through. But we're kind of wary of opening that door because we don't know what we're going to find. And we have the Queen of Air in our environment, place of our environment, how we see things at this time. And in reverse, the Queen of Air is a very cold energy. It's very, yeah, almost like icy. I'm seeing kind of like an icy queen, icy palace. Again, possibly relating to the White Witch of Narnia. But she's also very perceptive, and again she holds a lot of knowledge, and it's kind of, it's kind of like frozen. It's like this frozen energy, frozen in time. And maybe that's also what this energy is about here as well, like something frozen in time. It's yet to be kind of opened, explored, the door to walk through into something new. I'm also seeing these head feathers here on her, like steps. They look like stairs to me today, like walking upstairs into her head, which is kind of all this knowledge is how it feels. It feels like all this kind of knowledge that is inside her head that she's keeping to herself, with this card in reverse as well. It's like secrets, maybe, secrets, some things that aren't being revealed here. Do we have the wisdom for ourselves? because in our hopes and our fears we have the Star, which is very much an Aquarian energy card. Healing, destiny, connection to everything, and awareness. Wanting to, again, it kind of has this same symbol in the background as well, this kind of yellow, this sense of connection that we're not quite there yet. We haven't quite reached that place. Because we have these two cards at the very end, which is Love and the King of Air in reverse. And so the Love card, or the Lover's card as it's known in most decks, covered by this King of Air. Again, this sense of coldness, this sense of disconnection, of being shut out. This could be to do with, in fact, families and friends, families, people close to us that we haven't been able to connect with, or those that we have connected with. There's been differences of opinions, things aren't coming together, not seeing things eye to eye. Both the King and the Queen in reverse here, so things are not being revealed, is how it's coming through for me, that there are things that are being yet to be understood, things that we're yet to grow into. Things that aren't being expressed, that should be expressed. And just this incredibly blue energy in both of these cards. It's coming through very much kind of the heart and the throat chakra energy. I always see this colour, this kind of turquoise, greeny blue colour, as being very much the connection between the heart and the throat chakra. Things that need to be spoken of from the heart, the truth about something which isn't coming out, it isn't being spoken of. People are holding back maybe for fear that if they do speak the truth, then they will be isolated, but people are not ready to hear the truth, don't want to know it. Because the Lover's card is about choice. It's usually about somebody who we choose as a partner, who represents us. And this could also be to do with people that don't see eye to eye in relationships as well. That there is this kind of dividing, because they're very opposite energies, in the sense that this is like love, it's kind of warmth and nurturing and passion and coming together, whereas the King of Swords, when he's in reverse, is very harsh, very cold, very cutting, He can be very harsh and cold with his communication, with the way that he comes across. So it could be like, it's like a divide down between the two somehow. A dividing energy rather than an energy of bringing things together. That's kind of how it feels with this energy here as well. It feels like more divisive than unity and connection. But that's what we're wanting, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that there will be more unity, more connection, more realization that we all come from the same kind of pot, if you like. So let's have a quick look and see what else the cards would like to say to us today for this new moon in Aries reading. New moon. Too many. Okay, we've got 3 here. We've got the Knight of Wands in reverse, we've got the Moon in reverse, and we've got the 6 of Cups in reverse. So the Knight of Wands wants to move forward. He wants to make things happen, but he's in reverse. So he, again, it's this kind of energy of drawing back or stopping, standing still. He's not being able to move forward, or he doesn't feel as though he can move forward. Especially with the Moon in reverse as well. Like I'm saying, there are secrets, there are things that we are not being told, things that are not being revealed to us, things that we are maybe not realizing for ourselves on a deep subconscious level as well. Things that we may be completely ignoring or oblivious to, or we don't want to acknowledge. Knight of Wands can also be seen as a, I don't know about player energy, but a kind of trickster energy. Somebody who's not necessarily trustworthy. Somebody who can be very kind of quick in, quick out energy. Somebody who's kind of, how can I put it, in it for the glory, for the fame and the glory, rather than the actual truth about a situation. And we have the 6 of Cups in reverse as well. So the 6 of Cups normally talks about an energy of, for me, it's to do with a sense of melancholy, of how can I put it, melancholy, usually of acceptance of something, accepting that something hasn't necessarily gone your way, the way that you wanted it to. There's often a sense with the 6 of Cups that it's a kind of reflective on what has happened in the past, and realization that you can't do anything about that energy, you can't change that, that's gone, it's done, it's finished. Now it's time to kind of move on to the next energy, which is why the 7 of Cups comes after, with all this kind of choice. And previous to the 6 of Cups, of course, we have the 5, which is the kind of hardship and sorrow card. So the 6 is saying that there's a situation that we're not necessarily, with the Moon card here as well, we're not really totally seeing things clearly, understanding the bigger picture, seeing the truth behind something. Wanting to move forward, wanting to move beyond something, but at this time we're still kind of caught up with this past energy. Is kind of how it's coming through. We're still kind of caught up in this stagnant energy. We haven't moved on from this yet. We still keep going back to this energy, even though with the Knight of Wands wants to move us forward. We're not, doesn't feel as though we're ready. Emotionally, maybe we're not ready yet. Emotionally, we've still got things to deal with. On an emotional level, we haven't... Hangman's just come out again. So we are still hanging in that place of limbo. Emotionally, we're not ready. I'm going to put that over the top of that, actually, because that's... There's this sense of still having to hang in there. Still discerning, still trying to kind of... we've still got to let go. There's still so much that we need to let go of before we can move forward, before we can come out of this limbo energy, before we kind of recognise ourselves, again, is how it's feeling. That there's something about recognition of the self here, understanding of our inner strength, our self-confidence, who we really are. And there is, with the 7 of Water energy as well, there is, with the 3 of Swords here, some real kind of sense of heartache. And this wounded, these feelings of being wounded, and it's just coming through as not trusting, in fact. Not trusting ourselves to make the right decisions. Because in the past, we've always gone down the same road as a collective, and we've ended up in this situation here, where we've got to this point of being stagnant and stuck historically, shall we say, like this historical collective energy. It also feels like rebound as well, like a constant kind of rebounding back into the same place. We've also got the Lovers card come out in reverse again as well. And that's over the 7 of Earth here. Saying earlier that this is a card of decision making. And it is in reverse, so it feels more like this card is to do with family and our connection with family and our and the fact that we have had to had to disconnect, had to stay isolated. Again, this kind of isolated energy. But again, it does feel like he's no longer listening to this like voice here, almost like coming through as this kind of like, you know, the outer environment voice of like, don't do that. But it does look to me today as though he's just got no, he really has no respect for this energy anymore. In a sense of having done what we should have done and kind of done the right thing, and it's still leading to this energy here of kind of separation. And because when the Lovers is in reverse, it talks about a situation of separation and keeping people apart, and not feeling as though you are part of a whole as well. It could also have something to do with it as well, not feeling as though you're like we're being kept apart for what are the reasons for it? Why is this happening? And where can I get answers, and are they going to be the right answers? And over the top of the Hangman, sorry, we have the Three of Cups. So again, it's an emotional need for connection is what I'm feeling here, because the Three of Cups is about celebration and kind of coming together, things being celebrated, and need to allow ourselves to enjoy life. But this again is in the subconscious. This is what we kind of aren't so aware of. Is this energy that for me is coming through as this, it's very difficult to say this without it being picked up and seen as being the wrong way, but particularly on this certain channel, but for me it's coming through as an energy of deliberately having to separate. Deliberately being kept apart, and for a bigger reason than what we're being told. Because we're told one thing, and then like we're told that we can come together and we can celebrate if we do the right things, and then it's like it doesn't happen, and we're still in this energy of just hanging in limbo and waiting to be able to come back together and to celebrate together and to have a good time together. So that's kind of where I feel that this energy is coming in. Even though this is the past, this is what's moving away, this is kind of us coming out of this. It feels like this how do I put it, like where we've taken orders, we've done as we've been told, and it hasn't got us anywhere. We're still being kept in that same energy. We're still being kept in that whoops. In that same scenario over and over again, it's like nothing really changes, even though we do everything that we're told we need to do for things to change. It never really changes, and that's what I feel that this is about as well. It doesn't really change anything. No matter how much we conform, that's the word I was looking for, thank you. How much we conform and do as we are told, it keeps on staying the same. And we have Judgment and the Tower come out together as well. So the Judgment and Judgment in reverse, Tower upright. Over the top of these two energies here. Feels like there's a lot of like reverse energy here with this Judgment card as well on top of these two. The Judgment card in reverse is saying to me, again, it's that same energy of not listening, not taking any notice, not of not hearing the bigger call. It's like there's something much bigger that we're missing here. Something beyond the scope of what we're being told. There is more to this whole situation. And this is big energy. The Judgment card and the Tower together is big energy. What's coming in, it's like this, for me, the Judgment energy is always, it's like source energy. It's and again with the Tower as well, but the Tower energy on some level I feel is more to do with our own need for freedom, our own need to break free. It's tearing down the walls around us psychologically or physically, or but there's something here with these two energies. When you put these two together, it's like this is a situation that is destined in a way. It's a situation that has to happen. We have to kind of go through this in order to grow. It's like all of this that is going to be taken away from us, because I don't feel as though this energy is finished yet, or the rest of this energy is finished yet. This situation that we find ourselves in isn't finished yet. Because there's still this awakening. That's how it feels. It feels with the call that there's like an awakening that needs to take place in order for the Tower to really completely crumble to the point where we then have to rebuild. We have to restart all over again. There's a need here with the Tower to recognise that it's our own limitations that we're breaking through here. But the source of it is coming from a higher calling. It's like there's something beyond our physical realm, shall we say, that is saying to us, we've reached a certain point in our growth, if you like, or in our understanding, and in order to go beyond that we need to tear all of this down. and don't be surprised if it happens as well. It's like, you know, when it does happen, when all this kind of starts crumbling around us, even more than it has been and is doing, it's going to be a shock to a lot of people on a lot of levels. And the Judgment card is also for me about laying things to rest, like calling up the ghosts from the past, to release them, to let them go, to free them, to free ourselves from the past. But when it's in reverse, it's kind of saying that there's something that's not, we're not listening to that. We're not aware of that higher level of consciousness that is kind of in control of all of this in a way. And it's interesting because I feel that that's very much to do with this energy here as well. As I was saying, like, I always see this energy as being silent. So this could also relate to kind of hearing it within ourselves, like a silent, there's something intuitively that some people are picking up on, other people aren't picking up on it. And even if we do try to express it, maybe that's something also to do with what's happening at this time as well, that if we do try to express it, we're shut down, not allowed, kept in the dark. But this energy will bring on this tower situation. And this, I feel, is that inner conflict that I was talking about, that being out on the wire. That inner conflict of breaking free from it, breaking out of it, breaking free from the structures, from the limitations of each of these kind of bricks being something that we ourselves brick ourselves in by, our conditioning, our thoughts, our beliefs on things, how we kind of close ourselves down to potential and possibilities, which is possibly why we're also not listening to this as well. But that can only happen for so long, and if we don't kind of heed the warning, shall we say, heed the warnings, then something major comes in, which feels and appears to be an outside source, but it is that part of ourselves that is trying to break free from those restrictions, from those limitations, and those things that have kept us repeating the same patterns over and over again. Lots of major arcana cards in this reading. We have another one. We have the Fool over the top of the Hermit energy. And this is what I was saying earlier about the unknown and about whether or not to take that leap. We're kind of standing on the edge of the precipice, and we don't know if we should or we shouldn't take that leap into that unknown, into what's behind this door. And so when the Fool's in reverse, he's kind of, again, it's kind of the same double Hangman energy in many ways. It's that just standing, waiting, almost waiting to be pushed over the edge. Because we don't have that kind of self-confidence yet to believe that it's possible, to believe that it's safe, that there is a new path that will open up for us. So we're kind of stuck, it's still in this kind of limbo energy of just kind of standing outside that door and knowing in many ways that like that these keys, it's like opening the door to a new future, to a new potential, to something different, but we have to kind of break through in order to get there. So let's see why the Queen of Air is here. Ten of Swords. Queen of Air and Ten of Swords in our environment. So at this time we're not seeing the environment in general as being very nurturing, very caring, very loving, which is why this Empress is in reverse as well. Coming in, the energy coming in. We're seeing it as harsh, we're seeing it as hard, we're seeing it as cold. But with the 10 over the top, the 10 isn't ending. There is a finality with all 10s. It is saying that it's a point of exhaustion, a point where we can't go on anymore. We can't continue in the same way, which is this kind of closed off coldness, isolation, possibly also, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not just isolation, but how we kind of like, it's not isolation, what's the word? Where we gather in little groups of people, and if you don't kind of fit into that little group of people, then you're kind of an outsider, you don't belong, you're kind of ostracized in a way. That's not the word I was looking for, but that's kind of what this is coming through as, this kind of ostracizing energy. It's like if you don't belong to our group or our family unit, or then then we're not going to kind of involve you in our lives, or our, there is a word and I just can't think of it. It's kind of the opposite of community energy, and it's how we've all become very singular in a way, just very kind of focused on our own groups or our own families, and everybody else doesn't really come into the picture. That kind of disconnection energy again. But the Ten of Swords is kind of saying that, and with the Tower here as well, that there will be a breakthrough to this energy. There will be a kind of realization where things will make more sense to us. And we will become more what is the word I'm thinking of here? We'll become more, not just community orientated, but more connected, and I keep getting the word magnanimous, but that's not the word that I'm thinking of either. But it's that kind of energy. We'll become more open, generous is the word I'm looking for. More generous towards others, and that's with our time and our energy and our effort. So we've got two cards that have fallen down here. I'm going to take them as I see them. We have Temperance in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles upright. So the Temperance card in reverse over the top of the star. Again, another major arcana, another big energy that's coming in here. The balance is not not just upright, but the balance is not in play. It's like it's out of balance. Everything is out of balance is what I'm getting. Everything literally is out of balance. And just this sense of things not flowing, because the star has the Aquarian energy as well. Aquarius pours the water of life, which is what's contained in this pot here. Normally it would be being poured out. And Temperance is doing so. She has these two cups and she's trying to keep that flow going. She's trying to keep the kind of unity. She's trying to keep things balanced in the sense of not too much of one thing, not too much of something else. Equilibrium, equality. Equal measure. But when she's in reverse, it is like nothing is being balanced out, nothing is being and it's just, for me, it's coming through as an energy of and there's something, I don't know what it is today, but there's something that's holding back my, I don't know whether it's to do with this king and queen of air in reverse as well, but there's something, I feel as though there's something that's holding me back from expressing exactly what I want to say here. So it is to do with, for me, all the things that have opposites. It's probably one of the best ways to say it. So all the kind of opposite things that are important in life are all being put out of balance. Literally, the balance is completely in nature, in ourselves. Putting one thing above another, something being more important than something else. It's all out of balance. And this is in our hopes and fears with the star card, which is literally hope. The star is about hope, the star of hope. And we have this one single pentagram here as well, pentacle. Which is saying, really, you know, that it's time to rebuild. It's time to rebuild all of this with a sense of balance and fairness and equality and equilibrium and opportunity to rebuild, to remake, to redo. For a new beginning, for a new start. And I don't know why, but for some reason today it's kind of coming through like a portal of some kind. and also like a Native American shield or something. It is earth energy. To do with connection to the earth, our connection to the earth. The Empress card there as well in reverse. Empress energy being the energy of creative earth. Okay, so we have the King of Swords again, and we have the Page of Wands. So that is twice now that the King of Swords has come out. So there definitely is this real strong energy of it feels like holding back. It feels like holding things back, holding things in, not speaking your mind. A really strong authority energy as well is coming through with this sense of kind of somebody who's very much the authority figure here, or the authority energy that has taken control of our lives, is kind of how it's coming through. Governments in particular. Possibly corporations. Those people who don't have our best at heart is also how it's feeling. Those people who don't have our best interests at heart. And also will go to any lengths to succeed, to get what they want. But we also have this Page of Wands energy, which is for me coming through today as this kind of innocent but courageous side of ourselves. It could be seen as the Aries energy because it is fire energy, so it could be seen as this Aries Mars energy. Mars, of course, is at this moment in Gemini, out of bounds, doing his own thing. But what I'm getting here is this there's this kind of sense of trust. The way that he's looking at the baton that he's holding in his hands, it's almost like this is the answer, this is the solution. It's like he's looking at it with new eyes, like he's not seen it before, is how it's coming through. Like something new, something that's going to bring a new opportunity, possibly with this here as well. But it's like, it's more than opportunity, it's like almost like game changer in a way. like discovering something. It feels as though he's discovered something about himself, because the pages are always learning. They're learning, they're growing, they're maturing, they're wanting to know more. And that's how it's feeling like he's discovered. And because it's fire, fire I often feel is not just creative, but it's also that kind of spiritual part of our own nature, which of course brings me back to the Buddha nature of what we were talking about at the very beginning of this reading, of where he almost like he's discovered this kind of something within himself, and he's kind of looking at it. It feels as though he's kind of looking at it very closely, as though he's kind of really studying it, like he's just discovered it. And it does feel as though it is this part of our nature, this kind of spiritual love is how it's coming through. And there's also a sense of awe and wonder within this card as well, of how something that was so simple, it was there all the time, but it was kind of waiting to be discovered, is what I'm feeling. Something about each and every one of us, where we all have this particular energy within our own nature. That is our nature. So I'm going to leave that part of the reading there, and I'm going to take a World Offering card as a guidance energy. And I feel also that this is the Hangman down here, because we've got double Hangman energy, we've got double Lovers energy, we've got a lot of double energies here. A lot of double energies, because we've also got double King of Air as well. So that's 3 double energies here. So they're quite strongly, particularly with this Hangman energy as well. I feel as though this is what we're discovering about ourselves. And that we're at the beginning. That this is the beginning again, somehow. That we've ended that cycle. And now we're it's also coming through as kind of masters of our own destiny. Masters of our own destiny. Like that wand in his hand. And also taking back the power as well is what I'm feeling here. Taking back that power, that wand, that kind of like magician's wand that can fool you, trick you into believing something that isn't really real. Again, that kind of distraction energy over there as well, but there's something new about this. So, Wild Offering card, guidance for the collective. There we go, before it disappears. We have forgiveness. And it says, healing comes from acceptance. Help me, dear Lord, to fully accept what is, knowing what this will alone will open to me the new. So I'm going to read that again. Healing comes from acceptance. Help me, dear Lord, to fully accept what is, knowing that this alone will open me to the new. And that's interesting because that's exactly what I feel with this. Maybe also with this energy here as well, because there is an element of forgiveness in the Judgment card, which I didn't mention earlier, but I often feel as though when we're bringing up those ghosts that we need to release and let go, the forgiveness is of major importance because it allows us to move past what has happened, forgiving ourselves especially in that situation that we may have felt that we played a part in, as well as anybody else who was involved in any situation. But ultimately forgiving ourselves, which is always the hardest thing to do as well. So again, I'm going to read that again. Well, actually, I'll show it to you here. And that's what I feel that this is, the new energy. And lastly, I am going to pull a divine female, a divine feminine, because at this time there is a lot of divine feminine energy in Aries. We've got Venus and Aries together, and they're opposing another dwarf planet called Romio. And we have the moon in Aries as well. So let's see. We get Pope Joan, the Pontiff of Possibilities. The possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. The only female pope there has ever been, I do believe. And that was only because they didn't know that she was a pope, female, sorry. Pope Joan, page 40. Otherwise it would never have been allowed. Back then, let alone now. So, what is she saying? Pope Joan embodies the truth that all things are possible. According to popular legend, there was a female pope who reigned for 3 years in the 9th century. She was a brilliant, highly educated woman who entered the Catholic Church in Rome by cross-dressing as a man so she could be with her lover. Intelligent and quick-witted, she rose through the ranks of the church hierarchy and was eventually elected as the pope. 3 years into her reign, she was in a procession from St. Peter's to the Lateran in a lane once known as Via Sacra, the Sacred Way. Her true sex was dramatically revealed in the middle of the Sacred Way when she gave birth, surrounded by a shocked and astounded crowd. Some entrance. So one legend says that she was killed immediately and buried on the spot where she had given birth. Very Christian. And another says she lived to do penance for her deception. And her son, who became the Bishop of Ostia, had her entombed with honour in his cathedral when she died. Regardless, her name was removed from the list of popes, and all subsequent cardinals had to sit on the sedes stercoraria, a throne with a conspicuous hole in the middle of the seat to get a confirmation of sex before being named as the next pope. In the 13th century, Jean de Mailly wrote in a chronicle that contains the first written mention of an unnamed female pope. This inspired a wildfire of interest that spread throughout Europe. To this day, the legend of Pope Joan is widely believed, especially among Christians. When your soul selects her card, we can so easily get caught beneath the glass ceiling of what we think is possible. But the truth is that everything is possible. It's hard for us to imagine just how much the divine wants for our lives, much more than we could ever hope. Pope Joan reminds us that even if we think that what we want isn't possible, it is. Or even better, there is something our soul wants for us that will give us more than we can think to ask for. Pope Joan is a sign to trust in what you believe about yourself. Trust what's within you. Don't rely on what you see around you. Have faith. Know that the circumstances you are currently in are transformed from within. Begin to believe in a vision of your life. Cultivate the capacity to see it, to really imagine it with all your senses, and you will live into the day when it exists as the reality that now surrounds you. Pope Joan's right hand is held in the papal blessing, a Christian mudra of benediction. I don't know if you can see that very well. There we go, I think that's a bit better. The two fingers that point downward represent Christ's dual nature as both fully human and fully divine. The human ego is limited and lives beneath a glass ceiling. Joan demonstrates to us, though, that for the soul, the glass ceiling doesn't even exist. Trust in what the soul knows is possible for you. This is what Joan's wry smile reminds us. So soul voice meditation is what helps me remember that all things are still possible for me. And the intention is the possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. So there you have it. That is where I'm going to finish my reading and say thank you very much for those of you who have come across to watch for me on my channel. I really do appreciate it. Please could you, if you have found this of any interest, or if you've got anything from this, learn anything from this reading, please could you thumbs it up for me, as that really helps to get it out to the bigger, wider YouTube world of algorithms picking it up and then taking it further out, etc, etc. So it just really helps. That's why all YouTubers say please thumbs up our videos, because then it does get picked up and it gives other people more chance. It also helps it to get recommended on other channels as well, so that other people are more likely to watch it if it is on a recommend of somebody they're already following, or yourselves are already following. So that would be really helpful. Also, there is a subscribe button on my videos as well, so if you want to push that button and subscribe, I would really love you to be here. I am going to get back into doing all my videos. As I've said, I've had a bit of a time off. I went into a bit of a hibernation as I had Saturn squaring my Mars and my Mercury, and rather than fight that energy, I just thought, whatever, just go with it, Colette. So I did. But I am now coming back, so I will be doing the usual zodiac right the way through all the zodiac signs. I will start doing all the new moon and full moon videos again, hopefully both the tarot and the astrology. So if you're interested in either of those, please subscribe to my channel. Also, there will be a little bell that will turn out that you can press if you want to know as and when my videos are coming out as well. I'm always forgetting something. Afterwards I go, oh, damn, I wish I had actually said that, but I tend to forget. Please share my videos as well. That was something that I didn't say on my other video yesterday, which I meant to say was please share my videos to anybody who you think may benefit from any of the information on it, who may be feeling stuck and having a hard time at this time and not knowing what's going on in their world. My messages are not, shall we say, normal. There's usually quite a controversial kind of side to them. So if you know people who are kind of interested in more alternative kind of views of the world, shall we say, then they might be interested in watching my videos. There's also a list, what's it called? My brain is going dead at the moment. A playlist, that's the word. A playlist of all of my videos that I have done previously as well. So if you're interested in going and checking any of them out, they're all under their titles, Aries, Taurus, onwards. I don't put any dates on my videos because I do think that it can happen. Situations happen to people all the time. At any time it could be your video. So that's why I don't put dates on them, apart from the new moons and the full moons, obviously, which are much more kind of fixed energies. So again, thank you very much for being here, and please take really good care of yourselves at this time, and take really good care of anybody else around you who you can, and hopefully I will see you all again soon.